Women and girls, stand up and be happy for all of your accomplishments, big or small, and join us in celebrating a very important day for all the ladies in the country and in the world. Hello everyone and welcome to the Chrissy B Show, the UK's only TV programme that's dedicated to your mental health and well-being. Now, March 8th is International Women's Day, and what better way to celebrate it than to enjoy some of the inspirational women we have on today's show. We're joined by Model Tyechia Westbrooke, who began experiencing mental health issues from an early age due to the demands of her industry. She's coming on the show to talk about her journey and how important raising awareness for mental health is for her. Alongside this, we'll be speaking with Bethany Ainsley. Now, Bethany founded her own well-being company, Nova Wellbeing, aimed at using group classes to increase the mental and physical well-being of her clients. She'll be talking to us about why she started her business and about her own journey through mental health and well-being. But that's not the end of the wonderful women we have in store for you. On top of that, our regular declutter expert Sally Walford opened her doors to our crew and showed us how she keeps her own house in a state of perpetual calm by following her own decluttering advice. But first up, showing us how to take care of our well-being through the power of exercise is our fitness expert Feyi Jegede.
Hi guys, it's Feyi here. Thank you so much for joining me in today's fitness segment. Today I'm going to be taking you through some sculpting and toning exercises using just one equipment, which is your resistance band. You can purchase this from any local shop, and then we're going to get started. You're going to need a mat, of course, your resistance band, and then have a bottle of water to hand in case you're going to need it later on during the workout. Okay, first thing we're going to do is we're going to do some standing exercise. So I want you to bring your band around your calf, tie it, and make it taut to a point where it's not going to fall down. It's going to feel tight enough, but as you move along, because what we're going to do, we're going to move side to side, it's going to be creating some resistance for you, okay? So that's what we're going to do. So once you've done that, I want you to sit down slightly, stick your hips out and your bum out like you're going to sit in a chair, hands on your waist, and then we're going to just go side to side, 2 steps, and then 2 steps the other way. Here we go. Step out, and then bring it together, keeping the same distance, so hip width apart, and then the same distance when you bring it back into the middle. Okay. Now, as I said, this is great for your glutes and also great for your thighs. So concentrate as you're doing them, and you're probably going to feel the burn as you do so. Now, see if we can sit even lower, and as you do so, your glutes get activated, okay? As well as the thighs a little bit more. So let's just do 2 more, and then I'm going to show you the variation. Excellent. So while you're here, what I want you to do is we're going to stay on one leg, and then we're going to bring it still around the calf as such. I'm going to turn side on so you can see. So we're going to be like this, tippy toe, and all we're going to do, resting on the supporting leg, we're going to push it back. And it's known as a fire hydrant move. Normally you do it kneeling down on the mat, but we're going to do it standing up, okay? So get your balance, core in, and from here, just push it back, just slightly. And what you're doing is you're activating the glute on the standing leg, as well as the glute here on the leg that's doing the work. And just keep going. 4 more. Keep that tightness. 3, 2. Don't worry about the band moving. If it moves, just reposition. And 1. Wow. Whew. So you should feel that on those glutes. And what I want you to do is obviously turn around to the other side and do the same exercise at home. So what I want you to do is try and do 8 walking along. So you do 8 of these as a set. Do the others where it's on one leg, get your balance, make sure you have your balance. So do this as well, and then change it onto the other side. So thank you so much for joining me in today's workout with me, Feyi, here on the Chrissy B Show. Thanks.
Thank you so much to Feyi there. Now, doing exercise can be an excellent way of improving and maintaining mental health and well-being. And if you'd like to see more from our great selection of personal trainers and fitness experts, please head over to our YouTube channel. But now let's take a look at our trip to the home of declutter maestro Sally Walford to give you some serious house envy.
Hi, my name's Sally Walford and I'm the resident declutterer on the Chrissy B Show, and today I'm going to take you around my own home to show you some top tips that I've applied to myself. So one of my first top tips is if you haven't got a lot of storage in your home. Not only have I used this trunk for a coffee table, but I've also used it as storage solution. I've got some spare bedding in mine. You could also use this for occasional crockery or cutlery perhaps, anything. It's always great to have extra storage in your home. Another great storage solution is a dresser. And I also wanted to say that, you know, I'm not a minimalist, and so I do have things out on my dresser, but all these I utilise as well. Let's have a look and see how I've got a place for everything. So, firstly, I've got all my medical supplies in here. So in the next drawer, I've got all of my sewing items here, and again, just making sure that everything has its own place is so important for a clearer mind and also to remember where your things are. I'm sure everyone's guilty of one of these drawers, ones with cables and chargers and leads that have got a bit out of control. So I just wanted to show you what I've got here, which is basically a bag that keeps your chargers and the plugs together, making sure that it doesn't go into a tangly mess. Okay, so going back to just remembering everything should have its own place. I know exactly where things are, which means I don't get quite so stressed out when I'm trying to find things. So I've got my stationery drawer, there we go, and I've also got my posting and my stamp drawer. I know I'm always talking about colour coordination, so I just wanted to show you how well that can work in a filing system as well. Each of my categories have been put into different coloured folders, so therefore again I'm not in a stress and I know where my documents are. Okay, another quick top tip for you here. Again, if you're lacking in storage, I've got these big mirrors in a couple of rooms of my house, and I'll show you. This is where I keep my hoover and mop. So here we are in the kitchen, and another top tip is adhesive hooks. You can see what I've done here, again saving you some space. I've got my tea towels, cleaning products and my rubber gloves. Okay, let's have a look at some more cupboards. In these ones I have my occasional crockery, and I also have the crockery that I use every day. The good thing about this is that I can see exactly where everything is, saving myself pennies, not buying too much crockery, and also everything has a place. So not having very many drawers in my kitchen, I have my herbs and spices in a plastic container so that I can pull them all out at the same time, and therefore keeping in control of the clutter and also finding out what I've got. So there you have it. I hope you've enjoyed seeing some of my top tips that I use in my home. Thanks very much. And now back to the studio.
Thanks very much to Sally there, and look out for more declutter tips coming your way very soon. Well, don't go away, because after the break we'll be speaking with Model Tyechia Westbrooke on her mental health journey, plus Bethany Ainsley will be filling us in on Nova Wellbeing and much more. But first, when was the first National Women's Day established and where? Was it 1887 in Germany? Was it 1901 in Britain? Or was it 1909 in the United States? Find out the answer after this break. Welcome back to the Chrissy B Show, everyone, the UK's only TV programme that's dedicated to your mental health and well-being. So we hope you've enjoyed our special on International Women's Day, and we saw our trip to Sally Walford, who kindly opened her doors to our crew to show us how she declutters her own home and the tips that she uses herself. And personally, I found seeing her tips really helpful and just love seeing how pristine her home is. We also saw a great workout from Feyi Jegede, and exercise is a big part of taking care of your mental health and well-being. And if you'd like to see more great exercise you can do right at home, please do check our YouTube page under the fitness section. Now, before we go over to our next guest, during the break I asked you, when was the first National Women's Day established and where? Was it A, 1887 in Germany, B, 1901 in Britain, or C, 1909 in the United States? Well, I can tell you that the answer is C, 1909 in the United States. That's right, the first recognised Women's Day was set up by the Socialist Party in the US on February 28, 1909. Following this, the idea was taken forward. During an international conference of working women in Copenhagen the following year, Clara Zetkin, leader of the Women's Office for the Social Democratic Party in Germany, suggested the idea of an International Women's Day. She proposed that every year in every country there should be a celebration on the same day, and the idea was met with unanimous approval. The first International Women's Day was then incorporated in 1911. Well, our next lovely lady on the show is Tyechia Westbrooke, and despite suffering mental health issues at a young age, she's on the show now to help raise some awareness. Welcome to the show, Tyechia.
Hi.
It's lovely to have you, and I know this is the first time that you're actually speaking about your mental health, and I know it's a big step and a very brave one, but you are doing this for a good cause, aren't you?
Yes, hopefully to help other people, and get the message across to people.
So let's go through it step by step. When did you actually first start having mental health issues?
Probably from like adolescence, but it came out more when I was about, I'd say 18, 19.
Okay.
When I moved away from home and took myself away from home and moved to live by myself.
Okay.
Especially when I started working in the modelling industry, they came out a lot more as well.
Okay. What was that? What was it about that particular environment that was difficult for you?
I think it was because I've always had low self-esteem. I've always struggled with self-esteem, and I used to get bullied in school, secondary school and primary school, and I used to get bullied because of my appearance. People used to make horrible comments about the way I looked and my weight and everything like that. I was never the pretty popular girl. So, and I then started doing modelling, and I grew up and my look changed and everything, and it made me, I don't know, sometimes it can make me feel good because it's creative and it's like therapy for me, but I struggle with the obsessive side of wanting to change the way I look as well.
Okay.
So I'd film something, do a photo shoot, and I'd look at the photos back. Yeah. And I'd be like, oh my God, I don't like them. I don't like the way I look. I compare myself to other models in the industry a lot and other girls. So yes, it definitely did set that off, and it led to a number of things like body dysmorphic disorder, self-esteem issues, extreme dieting and exercise, and eating problems and things like that. It did,
Were there any times though that you felt confident about yourself, or was it always I don't like myself, I don't like the way I look?
As a person, I am quite confident, and it's really difficult to put it into words. I can speak to people, and I can do these jobs that I do, but in the back of my head, I always feel like I'm not enough, or I just don't fit, or there's always going to be someone better than me. So.
And all that stems from the bullying that you experienced at a young age?
Yes, it probably does stem from the bullying, yes. It definitely does come from that.
How have you managed to kind of cope with it then? Have you actually managed to cope with it, or is it something that has led to other things?
Well, there was a time where I was taking medication because it then led to anxiety and depression and mood instability. And I was taking antidepressants. I've taken, what are they called? Medication for anxiety and things like that. And so I did do that, and that lasted for about 18 months. I also had a therapist as well, and that really helps because I've never been in a position where I've talked about it. I've just kind of taken it all in and knew that there was something wrong, but like not actually made the effort to fix it because I didn't think it was something that I thought it was just too many problems to be solved. So it was quite difficult. But
what was it like though to actually, now that you've actually opened up to someone, what was it like to actually do that? Was it a relief for you to start talking about it, or was it kind of difficult?
Yes, I do. Well, I did enjoy seeing the therapist because they kind of gave me reassurance that I've never had from anyone else. They understood what I was saying, and they didn't turn around and say, "Oh, why are you like this?" or "Why is this happening?" or whatever. They was very understanding. They helped me learn coping mechanisms of how to deal with the situation, and it was just someone to like talk to about the problems that I was dealing with.
That's important, isn't it? Because obviously some people looking at you and me looking at you, I see someone beautiful, but you probably get that. But that kind of comment. If I just say to you, for example, "You're so gorgeous. Why would you feel that way?" That can actually make a person feel worse because then I'm like, well, what's the point of me talking because that person doesn't understand? It's like when, for example, when I opened up about the depression that I was going through, and my mum would say, or other people, why are you depressed? You've got your whole life ahead of you. Why are you scared? But it's not that the person wants to feel that way. You see something, people will see something on the outside, but they don't realize how you feel, how that person feels, and like sometimes the comments that we try to help people can actually backfire because you needed someone at the time that wouldn't just say, "Oh, but you're gorgeous, why don't you just, get over it?" You needed someone to actually understand, well, I don't feel that way about myself.
Yeah, and that was the issue. I think speaking about it, like, throughout my life, I've felt like I've had my feelings of not being valid to other people, or they've like belittled my emotions. So I thought if I was to open up about it, then it'd just be completely pointless because it'll leave me feeling worse than I already do. And I didn't want to make that worse for myself or return back to the same place that I was in.
And that's why it's very important to talk, if you are going to open up, to talk to the right people, because that can make all the difference.
Yes.
So how are things now? How have you progressed after therapy, or are you still having therapy, or you now moved on and doing something else?
Not at the moment. I'm not having therapy. I might do again in the future, but I find with therapy that there is a point, you do get to a point where you have to put it to a stop. What I did do, which helped me a lot, was take away all social media for a while. I came off Twitter, Instagram and Facebook, Snapchat, everything.
Why did you decide to do that?
Because I think that everything's perceived differently there, and that was where I was going wrong. I was looking at other models on like Instagram or on Facebook, Twitter, whatever, and it was just too much all at once. And I found when I just take myself out of that, I just felt really peaceful. I wasn't just seeing other things because it's not reality on there. And my industry, I'm always told that I need to be on social media because I'm the product. I've got to market myself and everything, and it's just something that I hate doing. But at the end of the day, I've got to earn a living, so I've got to be on there. But I
suppose you can do it, like just use it to post pictures of yourself, but not actually. But it's kind of tempting once you're on there not to go and look at everything else.
Yes, for me it was very, very tempting because I'd be looking at pictures of like models and things and like other people that's in my industry and think, well, if I done this or done this, I could be like them as well. And it just wasn't healthy at all.
Okay.
No.
Have you ever considered like a different career, or is that something that you want to continue with modelling?
I have considered a different career in the past, but I've thought no, because it's something that I've done from a young age. I started off as a dancer, then it progressed into acting, which is still primarily what I do, but I started doing modelling as well. And I don't think I could change it, because I'm now in a position where I'm stuck to prove myself wrong that I can do it, because what really got to me was a shoot that I'd done last spring, and a photographer said to me that there is better looking models than me. And what he done, he got out his phone and he got his Instagram up on his phone, and he started showing me other pictures of other models, and he was like, oh yeah, this is how I want you to be. And then he said, well, you could probably do plus size modelling as well. And I was like,
whoa, is this photographer still employed?
Yes. And for me, that just set me off. Like, it brought on a whole heap of issues, and I thought, well, actually, he's right. There is better looking people than me, and more successful people, and it just kind of gave me a very negative outlook on my future career.
I mean, that's what we have to remember, that we can only be the best version of ourselves, because it's true, you know, if we go online, we are going to find people maybe that other people find more attractive, and I said, you know, well, we can't live by that, can we? We just have to stop comparing ourselves.
Exactly, that is something that I really need to.
Are you in a better position about yourself now, or would you say it's like a work in progress still with yourself, the way you see yourself and the way you feel?
Yes, I am in a better position in that sense. What I'm trying to keep consistent is not comparing myself to other people, not going on these crazy diets where I'm like refusing to eat like carbohydrates, living off like raw fruit and veg, you know, just to be fit in with the modelling industry. I'm trying to maintain something that's healthy, not like abnormal. That's my main focus now, and so far so good. I'm training my mind to learn and like feel like fully like comfortable with myself.
And love yourself.
Definitely, right? Love yourself.
Tyechia, thank you so much for coming on and sharing those thoughts with us. I mean, I think it is really important to talk about these things and raise awareness, and also to actually promote getting the right help as well.
Yes, definitely.
Thank you so much. All right, everybody, don't go away, because after the break, we'll be talking to Dr. Rob Hicks, who'll be answering your medical questions such as this one. How can I get my wife to stop snoring? Find out what he has to say after this. Hi, I'm Chrissy B, and my show is all about improving your mental health and being happy. Join me every Monday, Wednesday and Friday at 10 p.m. on my channel Sky 203. Visit chrissybshow.tv for more information, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Chrissy B Show. You can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Chrissy B Show, and on our Facebook page, The Chrissy B Show. Welcome back to the program, everyone, and now it's time to head over straight to Dr. Rob Hicks to answer all of your medical questions. And if you have a question, all you need to do is email doctor@chrissybshow.tv. Welcome to the show, Rob.
Hi, Chris.
You ready to answer some questions?
I am indeed.
So let's go for the one before the break that we had, and this was, how can I get my wife to stop snoring? She is a really bad snorer and won't do anything about it. I said she needs to see a doctor, but she says no way. Is it just a position she sleeps in, or is it something wrong with her nose or throat?
You know, this is a reassuring question, because often it's men who are accused of being the ones who snore, but actually men and women snore. There are lots of different factors that contribute to whether somebody is snoring. And the reality is that there's plenty that can be done, you know, before your wife goes to see a doctor about this problem. One is the good idea to avoid drinking any alcohol in the evening before going to bed, because alcohol relaxes the muscles, and relaxed muscles are more likely to vibrate as she breathes, and that's what causes the snoring sound. Be sensitive how you raise this one with her, but if she is overweight, it'd be a good idea for her to lose weight, because if you've got too much fat around the neck, again, you get the same sort of pressure, and that causes snoring as well. If possible, if you get her to lie on her side rather than on her back, she's much less likely to snore. And the way to do that is you could get her to sew something like a tennis ball into her night dress, so that it means that if it's in the back, when she lies on her back, it feels uncomfortable. So even when sleeping, she'll actually roll over. Or she can prop herself on her side by, you know, just slotting a pillow into the back, between her back and the mattress, again, so that she's sleeping on the side. If she's somebody who's got nasal congestion or allergies, for example, if you can clear the nose, use an allergy treatment, or indeed use a salt water nasal rinse or spray, that can certainly help as well. And there are lots of different anti-snoring or stop snoring products available from the pharmacist, things like nasal strips that again open the nasal passages and make nose breathing more likely, because it's mouth breathing often is what triggers the snoring. Then of course, you know, if none of those things are working, then she might want to have a checkup with a doctor, particularly if she's having episodes of what we call apnea, where she's, for very brief moments in time, she's stopping breathing and then giving a little bit of a snort or a snore as she starts breathing again, because that may need some more medical treatment. But be very sensitive how you approach this with your wife, because nobody likes to be told they're a snorer, but recognise that actually the impact it's having on you as well, because no doubt it's disturbing your sleep, which will leave you tired and miserable the following day. And indeed, if she's a snorer, she's likely to be left tired and, you know, miserable the following day as well, because she won't get a good night's sleep.
Next question, Rob. Okay, how can I get rid of eye bags? I have had them for almost 4 years now, and I really want to get rid of them.
The simple answer is not easy. Developing eye bags is primarily down to genetics. You know, so you're predisposed to whether you develop them or not. But also, as we all get older, substances called collagen and elastin, these are the substances that give the skin the structure, they break down. So it means that the fat pads underneath the skin become more visible, and indeed it's a little bit more saggy. There are some things though that you can do to try and improve the situation. One is to stop it getting worse. One is to make sure that you protect the skin from UV radiation, so that you're not damaging the skin, and that you don't smoke, because that will also damage the skin, again making it thinner, making it more saggy, and allowing the bags to form. You might want to try some massage, just gently massaging underneath and just pushing out that way, because sometimes it's fluid collection which is causing the bags rather than other things, and also something cool put on the eyes, cooled, you know, cucumber, cooled tea bags, for example. That will help, you know, sort of help a little bit lessen the appearance. The other thing to think about, obviously, if cosmetically it's causing you a lot of distress, then these can be surgically removed, or they can be filled, so the skin can be filled so they don't pierce so baggy. But those are the sort of things to try in the meantime.
Okay. Next question, Rob. I am a man and I have boobs. How do I reduce them? Is this possible through exercise?
The answer is yes, it is. I mean, the medical term for this is gynecomastia, or, you know, the street name is man boobs. Yeah. And it is possible to reduce the appearance of these. The sort of things to think about really is exercises that boost your chest muscles. So you know, speak to your fitness trainer or have a look online at the muscles that will build up. They're called your pectoral muscles, and that can actually help reduce the appearance. If you lose some weight, that can reduce the appearance because you get rid of the fat that's contributing to them. If this is something that's changed quite recently or is tending to develop, you might want to get a checkup with your doctor, because often this is down to a hormone imbalance between testosterone, the male hormone, and estrogen, the female hormone. So there's too much estrogen, and that's what's causing the enlargement. And that is what happens when people are overweight. It's not just fat that causes the appearance of man boobs. It's actually the fact that fat produces estrogen, and therefore you develop more breast tissue as a man. Other things to think about is, are you taking any regular medication? Because sometimes the side effect of some medications can be the development of this. And the other thing is anabolic steroid use. One of the negative effects of anabolic steroid use is that you can develop man boobs as well. Wow. As a consequence. So those are the sorts of things to look at. If exercise is not helping, and you haven't got a hormonal imbalance that needs treatment, then obviously they can be surgically removed. But again, you've really got to think very seriously about whether it's important enough to you to go down that route.
Okay, Rob, next question. I'm 52 years old and I constantly have to get up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom. I have been doing this for years. I stop drinking water at least 3 hours before I go to bed. My friends think I should see a doctor because it could be something serious. What do you think?
I think the medical term for this is nocturia, so it's getting up at night and peeing a lot. I think this warrants a checkup. What our viewer doesn't say is whether he's a he or she's a she. Regardless, man or woman, diabetes could be a reason for this, and that needs to be checked for and treated if it's confirmed as a diagnosis. An infection can cause this as well, and side effects of medication. So, for example, diuretics, commonly known as water tablets for high blood pressure or for treatment of heart problems, if they can cause this as a symptom as well. In men, enlargement of the prostate can cause this as a common symptom. So my advice to you would be, yes, get it checked out in case there's an underlying medical condition that needs treating, but also think about the consequences of getting up at night so frequently. It's going to leave you tired the next day, and a tired person doesn't concentrate very well, and they're more at risk of accidents. So it's important to get to the bottom of this. So yes, I would have a checkup.
Definitely. Next question. Why is my Adam's apple crooked? It has shifted over to one side. Does that mean that something is wrong with my neck muscles, or is this pretty normal?
I think this person needs a checkup. I think you need to have a checkup. The Adam's apple is the external appearance of the larynx, the voice box, and if it's moved to one side, it indicates that something is pushing on it. So it might be, for example, that your thyroid gland has got enlarged, or that there's some other sort of growth there that's pushing it to one side. So I think you need to have a checkup promptly, particularly if you've got symptoms. So, for example, changes in your voice quality, like hoarseness, if you've got any changes in your ability to swallow, or if you've got any breathing difficulties that have developed around about the same time. But this needs a checkup. I wouldn't hesitate.
Okay, definitely. Next question. My 2-year-old daughter was born with a prominent skin tag next to her eye. Should we get it removed? The doctors say it's his cosmetic, so it's our choice.
Well, if this is not causing any problem, so if it's not getting irritated and inflamed, and the child isn't sort of picking at it or rubbing at it all the time, so if it's not causing a problem, then yes, it's a cosmetic issue.
Yeah.
And as a cosmetic issue, there are a number of things to think about. One is your daughter's only 2 years old. What is the emotional effect going to be of having to go through a cosmetic procedure to remove it? And is it the case that if you do have it removed, and it could be done surgically, it could be done with freezing treatment, is it going to be necessary for her to have a general anaesthetic where she's put to sleep so that she's still to have this done? So you have to think about the consequences of an anaesthetic for a condition which is actually deemed to be cosmetic and therefore really not medically necessary. So those are the things to think about. And if you decide you do want it removed, you might think, well, maybe wait till she's a bit older, when she'll be more mature and therefore better able to deal with the whole process. Yeah. But often it's a case of these things trouble parents more than they trouble the child.
Yeah. Sometimes. Okay, next question. What can cause traces of blood in a man's semen? There is no pain or any obvious symptoms of something else.
I think this is a condition that needs a checkup. Yeah. What we don't know from this view is how old he is, and that can influence what the likely causes are. So the likely causes of blood in the semen are inflammation of the prostate gland. It could be infection, so for example caused by a sexually transmitted infection like chlamydia or gonorrhea. It could be a consequence of vigorous sexual activity. It could be a consequence of suffering an injury or trauma to the pelvic region. So we don't know whether any of those apply to you. The other things is if you've had a biopsy recently on the prostate, then you might get some blood in the semen afterwards, because the prostate makes the liquid that carries sperm out of the body. Or sometimes, rarely, particularly in older men, it can be a signal or sign of prostate cancer. Now, saying that, blood in the semen is actually not that uncommon, and usually it's of no consequence. It happens once and never happens again. But I do think it's important that you get it checked out just to be on the sure side.
Yeah, definitely. And the last question for today, Rob. How can one tell if their face is too oily? I think having an oily face contributes to my acne, but I'm not sure what facial cleansers really work for this purpose, or if I'm overwashing my face, which I hear is as bad as not washing at all.
It's a good point, actually, because a lot of people with acne and skin conditions overwash, under the misunderstanding that it's a hygiene thing, and it's not. The simple answer really is how you wash, what you wash with, and what products you use to put on your face. So washing, really, you just need to use plain water and go very gentle. If you want to use a cleanser, use a gentle cleanser, use an oil-free soap substitute, or use a very mild soap. And the other thing is to look for is non-comedogenic. It'll be written on any product, whether it's cleansers or creams or makeups, and it just means doesn't cause spots. But those are the sorts of things that you should be using. If your acne is not under control, have a chat with your GP, because they can recommend some creams or gels or even some tablets to take orally that can help keep it under control, so that you're not troubled by the spots, but also so that you're less likely to develop scarring as a consequence of acne.
Rob, thank you so much for answering those questions for us.
My pleasure.
And we'll see you again next week.
You will indeed.
Thank you. Yes. Everybody, don't go away, because after the break we'll be chatting with Bethany Ainsley of Nova Wellbeing on how her own journey led to the founding of her business. Plus, I'll be giving you some tips on how to be an empowering woman. But first, which area of the UK was found to have the highest levels of well-being? Was it A, Northern Ireland, B, Wales, or C, Scotland? Find out the answer after this break. Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Chrissy B Show. So we hope you've enjoyed our program so far, focusing on International Women's Day. We've had some great exercises from Feyi Jegede, and Tyechia Westbrooke came on to talk to us about her slow recovery from mental health issues. Plus, Dr. Rob Hicks answered your medical questions, and if you have a question, by the way, you can email him on doctor@chrissybshow.tv. Now, before we meet our next guest, before the break, I asked you which area of the UK was found to have the highest levels of well-being. Was it A, Northern Ireland, B, Wales, or C, Scotland? Well, I can tell you that the answer is A, Northern Ireland. Now, we don't want to start any kind of rivalry between the different regions of the UK, but according to a 2013 government analysis, Northern Ireland reported the largest number of happy and content people. Unfortunately, Wales showed little improvement from previous years, according to the report at that time, and apparently London rated lowest for well-being. So some interesting stuff there. But now let's head over to Bethany Ainsley of Nova Wellbeing to talk about her experiences and her company.
So I founded a wellbeing company which is called Nova Wellbeing 10 years ago, and the aim of the company was to help people in communities to help improve their wellbeing. It was mainly focused on communities to help them reduce health and social inequalities through physical activity, mainly fitness and dance. And the company has basically gone on to achieve really great things. We've worked with many partners, including the Big Lottery Fund, Comic Relief and other partners, to help focus on things like working with people with dementia, working with people with mental health problems, and basically help them to get active and stay active and improve their health and well-being through that. So it was actually when I was a student at university that I basically had a really big interest in health and wellbeing, but I was also teaching dance self-employed. And at that point, I identified that there was a lack of opportunities for children and young people to get active. And when I looked into local statistics a bit more, I found that it wasn't just children and young people, it was adults as well. And I was shocked to find that life expectancy was 10 years lower than the national average. Alongside that, things like cardiovascular disease, diabetes, obesity were all significantly higher. And that, alongside my own observation and statistics showing that physical activity levels were significantly lower, meant that I found an opportunity in which we could create physical activity opportunities through Nouveau Wellbeing. I think there's a lot of mixed messages. I think people get confused about what they should and shouldn't be doing. At the time when Nouveau Wellbeing was founded, there were a lack of suitable opportunities for people to get engaged with. People could go to the gym, but that doesn't appeal to everybody. People with health and health problems are often put off by that. Other issues might be things like childcare, lack of affordability, finding suitable classes. They were all things that held people back from getting active, and what we try and do at Nouveau Wellbeing is break down those barriers to help people to get active. And I think it's probably very similar, along with mixed messages and people not being too sure of quite what they should be eating or how they can get active, especially when we live such busy lifestyles these days. So there've been a lot of successes. I mean, it's great when members of the team come back and tell me about somebody who's gained in confidence and they've given a brilliant case study. We've had people who've gone into employment. We've had people who've had a bereavement and they've started to join our classes to help make new friends and help with that bereavement. We work with people with dementia and just making them feel good. So at the end of the session, they might not remember the class, but they feel happy, and that's a great benefit of that as well. The business has been running for 10 years now, so for me, that's a personal achievement that I've been in business for 10 years. We've now set up a second company, which is Nouveau Training Academy. Nouveau Wellbeing is based in the Northeast, and although we work across the Northeast, what we do learn is often national, so we work with national partners and we share that across the UK. With Nouveau Training Academy, what we can now do is actually train people across the UK and beyond to learn more about the services that we offer so that other people can do the same. Challenges. I think one of the main challenges was being a young person starting out in business and not always being taken very seriously, especially when you're working with such large organisations who have done things a certain way for many years, and then you get somebody younger coming along and trying to do something a little bit differently. That's been a challenge. And as a business person as well, I'm aware that there's a lot of challenges with that. So for example, trying to look after staff and keeping the business running, managing the well-being of lots of other people, and then maybe not looking after my own well-being as much. But through identifying that, I've then set up a third venture which helps entrepreneurs and professionals to manage their own well-being. So Nouveau Wellbeing is, as I said, has been going for 10 years, and I believe it will continue to go on to do great things, looking at areas where people need extra support. So whether that is working with people with dementia, people with mental health problems, working with women who then get pregnant and how we can help them to stay active. So just really finding where the gaps are, where we can help people. With Nouveau Training Academy, I hope that we can continue to spread those messages and train more people to then help even more people. And then with my third venture, it's to help professionals and to help entrepreneurs to basically become their optimal self so that they can achieve their best in the workplace and in life. Yeah, so I would say to try and be as organised as you possibly can to prepare. So think about preparing meals, think about where you can fit in different bits of exercise. It doesn't have to be a lot. It might just be that on your lunch you try and do a 10-minute walk, or you try and do the stairs a couple of times, things like that. So how you can incorporate physical activity into your daily life, because we all have busy lives. Then it would be looking at stress, because we all have stress. So trying to think about what your triggers are. So what is it that makes you stressed and how do you react? So just taking a little bit of time to think about those things, and then you can start to look at how you could potentially manage those things. And then finally thinking about how you can relax and switch off. So I think this is something that a lot of us tend to find difficult, and what works for one person might not work for another. So just trying to find out how you can do that and being able to switch off and recharge your batteries, you'll find you're better for the next day.
Thanks very much to Bethany there. So now it's time for my own tips on how to be an empowering woman. So my first point is to know your own value. So never accept to be mistreated or abused or taken advantage of, because how can you empower others, or how can you even make a difference in other people's lives if you are allowing yourself to be mistreated? Now, I don't mean, for example, sometimes there's a kind of confusion about being mistreated if someone, for example, tries to point out something that you need to work on. That's not being mistreated. I'm talking about other, forms of abuse and people putting you down all the time, things like that. So make sure if that is happening, that gets sorted out. And if you need any kind of counselling, because maybe you are actually kind of attracting these things into your life by, for example, you maybe will go for a certain type of relationship, but people that you know will mistreat you, you kind of go for that kind of person. That there's a root behind that. So make sure you find out and deal with any of those issues and actually start to respect yourself. And that's how you can actually also, then from then on, you can actually start to be empowering. My second point is don't put men down. Now this one I think is very important, because unfortunately I seem to be seeing a trend happening where, yes, of course I agree with equal rights and everything like that, and women should be treated fairly in the workplace, everywhere, in relationships. However, there are, I think, some that will take it too far and actually start putting men down a lot by saying we're better than men, we can accomplish more, that is actually now not equality anymore, because if you're demanding rights and everything, and of course we should have our rights. However, when you're putting the other gender down, that's not a good thing. That's actually going in a negative direction again. So by all means, equality, great, but don't put other people down in the meantime. Remember, everyone has their qualities. Men have their own unique qualities. Women have their own unique qualities. Sometimes those qualities are completely different, and that's okay. We have our own, things that we're good at sometimes, things that, we need to improve on. It goes for everyone, but definitely just don't put anyone down if you want to be an empowering person. My third point is to keep learning. Now this one is important as well. You can't really be an empowering person if you're kind of just stuck in your ways and you only want to do the same thing all the time. Time moves on, things move ahead, things change over the years. So if you're not willing to keep learning and keep up with the times, actually when I say keep up with the times, I don't mean change your core values. You can keep your core values, but you do kind of have to be in touch with everything that's going on in the world and keep learning about things as well. My fourth point is to make sure you go after your goals. Now, it's important to always have your goals in mind, whatever's going on, and this is a way that you can actually empower others, because when you achieve things, when you reach your goals, you can touch other people in the process and also inspire others to go for their goals as well. And my fifth point is to be independent. Now, don't rely on others, because when I say don't rely on others, there are times, for example, when of course we all need help, we need to speak to someone. But when you get to the kind of stage where, you've got that help, you've got the advice, you need to actually execute that advice. You need to put things into practice, and don't kind of think, well, I have this person or I have this group, I'm always going to have them, I'm always going to rely on them. You shouldn't do that, because there has to be a point where we do stand on our own 2 feet. And, sometimes people let us down as well. No one is perfect actually. So if you kind of depend on other people, then that's where things could actually go a bit pear-shaped. The next one is to sort yourself out. If there are any issues that you're going through, if there's anything that you see that's negative about yourself, or maybe that other people have tried to point out to you, it's very, very important to actually work on yourself. Always work on yourself. Never ever think that you have reached the point where you have nothing else to work on, you're fine the way you are. Definitely don't say this, or this is just the way I am and people have to deal with it. I don't think that's a good attitude to have. Yes, of course, you're going to be your own person, you have your own personality, but there are things in all of us that maybe hurt other people. Maybe things like the way you say things will hurt someone else, will put someone else in a bad mood. You can't just say at that point, oh, this is just me and I say it how it is. Maybe you need to kind of change the way you say things. It's you know, we can't just kind of just sail through life disregarding how other people feel. So work on yourself, sort yourself out. If you're going through any problems, any issues, speak to someone if you have to, and that will lead you to be an empowering person. And finally, the last point that I'd like to talk about is it's important to empower others. So don't forget about other people. Maybe you've already reached a certain, I don't know, like a certain status or position, or you've achieved certain things in your life. It's time to give back. It's time to help other people get there as well. Don't keep it all for yourself and be selfish, because that is a sure way to actually lose everything that you have anyway. And actually on your journey, you could be empowering others as well. So never forget other people. Maybe if you're maybe of a more mature age, take a look at the younger ones around you, those that are kind of, you can see they have that kind of passion, that fire, they want to do something with their lives. Take a look at them and see how you can help them, even if it's just one person that you help at a time. You can do that and lead others to actually empower others in the future as well. Well, everyone, that's it for today's program. If you have anything that you would like to share, please do get in touch with us on info@chrissybshow.tv. You can also tweet us at Chrissy B Show, or leave a message on our Facebook page, The Chrissy B Show. And if you'd like to know more about my mental health journey and how I beat all the problems that I had, including depression and panic attacks, anxiety, phobia of death, and many other things, you can visit my personal website, which is mylifeafterdepression.com. Until next time, bye for now.